Wonderful. Welcome to the Boise. Sorry, Mike, let's start again. We're going to start with our land acknowledgement.
As we gather together, we acknowledge that the land upon which our church and homes exist is the ancestral land stolen from the people of the Shoshone-Bannock, the Shoshone-Paiute, Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai, and Nez Perce nations, along with many other tribes whose names have been lost in history. We acknowledge that our presence here today is founded upon the exclusions and erasures of many indigenous peoples. With this acknowledgement, we wish to demonstrate our ongoing commitment to the work of dismantling the legacies of settler colonialism. We honor indigenous peoples' connection to the land and support their right to sovereignty.
Beautiful. Good morning again. Now my microphone is working, and now I know why Mike had it off. He was trying to give me a signal, and I was not picking up on that signal. I'm the Reverend Sarah Lawal. It is my great honor to serve this beloved community. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a community gathered to nurture spiritual growth, faithful action, and real connection for a better world. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you identify, you are welcome here, and your presence is a blessing. We want to welcome those who are joining us virtually from wherever you are in your homes, cars, or out in the world. Thank you for being with us this morning. I'll invite us all to turn and wave to our community online, who reminds us that we worship as one community beyond the walls of this sanctuary. We know it takes a lot of courage to cross the threshold of a new community, so we want to especially welcome those of you who are newcomers, here for the first or second or maybe third or fourth time, checking us out. We hope that you will take some time to introduce yourself after the service for those who are here in person, and those of you who are online, introduce yourself in the chat so that we can warmly welcome you. And we invite you to fill out a newcomer form either in the chat or in the entryway so that we can keep you up to date with all that is happening in our fellowship and all of the ways that you can get connected. And this is the time of year where it just feels like we are just busy bees with so much happening and so many ways to join in fun and community together. For those newcomers who want to learn a little bit more about who we are, we have our Inquirer series today. This is the final session in the series, but anyone's welcome at any time. They're not sequential. So we'll meet together down in the North Wing for our final session on Care and Connection today. And you all know our auction is coming, but our site is live and ready for viewing and registration. Thank you to the auction team who was really working to get it all together for you to go online. I previewed it yesterday, and my goodness, the site is beautiful, but wow, there are some extraordinary items available for you to start those bidding wars very soon. So poke around in there, register, look, get a sense of like which items you're gonna go for. You've got some time to do that before the site goes live. We also have a quilt raffle every year with our auction. Our UU quilters with 2 U's, create a beautiful quilt that they raffle off as part of the auction, and you can buy raffle tickets and see the quilt in the hospitality area and right here on the screen on the slide today. And that all of those funds go to support our promotions. So when you hear us advertising on public radio, it's the quilters who are funding that. Isn't that wonderful? But we also want to invite you to stick around this afternoon, because perhaps you've noticed all of the beautiful art and fabric art that's on display all around us. And so our auction team is hosting an art show to show live the art pieces that are available for auction this year. And some of our artists will be here to talk to you about their work and their art, some of our own member artists. So we invite you to stick around for snacks and fun after the service for our art show today. Our adult religious education classes are now open for registration. There is an extraordinary slate of classes being facilitated by a number of you out here. So thank you for those who put forth a class for us this season. We're really delighted. We invite you to go to our website and check that out and register for some of those great classes. They really are. I mean, it's wild when I think, oh my gosh, I want to take these classes, and I don't have any extra time in my schedule to do that, but I really want to do some of them. And then finally, I want to let you know that on Sunday, March 5th, right after the service, we're hosting a spring congregational town hall. This town hall will feature updates and feedback and conversation together about our Engaging Space Task Force and the next phase of that work, and a Q&A with your board. It will be hybrid, so you can join us online or you can stick around right after the service for that town hall in 2 weeks. Our fellowship donates 25% of our unpledged plate offering each month to an organization that aligns with our social justice mission. And for the month of February, we are proud to be partnering with the Shoshone-Paiute tribes of the Duck Valley Indian Reservation. This has been a partnership that has been forming over the years, and we've done some donation drives, and this year they are in a formal plate partner, and we're delighted to support them in all the ways that we can. There are many ways that you can make a financial gift. You can go to our website and click Give in the top right corner. You can use the app on your smartphone. You can leave your checks and cash in envelopes in the drop boxes just inside the doors. However you choose to give. We thank you for your generosity and for all the ways that you support the work of this congregation and our paying it forward out into the world. The spiritual theme for this month is the path of love. And today's service explores how that path brought us here. I am delighted by today's service. That is the brainchild of Sarah Googe, who is on our worship team. And Sarah asked if she could do this service, and as it was coming together, what I didn't realize was Sarah had a vision for the whole container of the worship service today, including music from her very own Dixieland band that has been playing together for decades. So Sarah is just wait. So the sermon today is offered by Sarah Googe with a little help from her husband, Bill Wilkinson, and her friends, Henry and Patti Roybal, who are part of the band that you will get to experience. Patricia Heeb joins us as celebrant. I'm just gonna go be a congregant out there and enjoy the worship service today. You may be aware that there are some rhythm instruments under your chairs out there. Lucky winners! But not yet, you don't need them yet. The band will let you know when it's time to dig out those rhythm instruments and join in. And you will be invited to join in singing the final song today. And so we want to remind you, for those who would prefer to have a face covering, a mask while we sing together, we have masks out in the entryways. Please help yourselves for that. All right, thanks for being here. Sarah, thank you for this day.
As we enter into this time of worship, let us take a moment to breathe together. Fill your body with breath, knowing that our breath connects us to one another, to our bodies, and to our planet. Our breath offers us the opportunity for stillness, to tune in to our spiritual center, to listen deeply to our heart's own longing. Thou art the song of my heart in the morning. Thou art the dawn of truth in my soul. Thou art the dew of the roses adorning. Thou art the woven whole. Thine is the grace to be steadfast in danger. Thine is the peace that none can destroy. Thine is the face of the need-riven stranger. Thine are the wings of joy. Thou art the deep, to the deep in me calling. Thou art a lamp where my feet shall tread. Thy way is steep past the peril of falling. Thou art my daily bread. Thine be the praise of my spirit uplifted. Thou art the sea to each flowing stream. Thine be the days that are gathered and sifted. Thou art the deathless dream.
Wow. Each week we light our flaming chalice, a symbol of our free faith, a beacon of hope, love, and justice. We join in this lighting in solidarity with thousands of other Unitarian Universalist Fellowship congregations I lost my place here and I cannot find it graciously. So we'll just know that we're glad to join with other congregations. Today, we have a young first-time chalice lighter with us. We invite a child to light our chalice to recognize the children and the youth of our congregation in our community and our responsibility for them and the future that we build together. As Mac Pyle lights our chalice this morning here in the sanctuary, we invite you in the virtual community to light a chalice if you have one nearby, and please enter into the chat where your chalice is lit.
It is my great joy and honor to introduce you to Mac Pyle. He is the son of Shelley and Nate and the middlest child, sibling to Desmond and Cece. Mac loves video games, especially Lego Star Wars, and is currently reading Otter by, who's the author?
I don't remember.
We don't remember. If you know, you know. Otherwise, check it out afterwards. Say hi to Mac, everyone. Thank you.
With our collective chalices lit in all of our spaces, we offer you this call to worship from Paul Carter. It may have a familiar ring to some of you. The Beatitudes, translated into everyday language. Blessed are the poor, those who are beaten down and disadvantaged in this world. Blessed are they that mourn, those who have no hope in the world and who see the brokenness of the world. Blessed are the weak, those who don't push back and don't strive, cheat, or scheme to succeed in the world. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, those who want more for this world and who want mercy and justice and kindness and truth. Blessed are the merciful, those who are not eager to condemn, who assume the best, who seek to understand, and who are quick to forgive. Blessed are those who are pure in heart, those who have not been corrupted by the world, who can still see the beauty, and whose hearts incline toward that which is right, loving, and good. Blessed are the peacemakers, those who seek reconciliation. Come, let us worship together. As we move toward our time for all ages, I'd like to invite the children in the room to come and join us up in front for our time for all ages. Yes, welcome to the front of the room.
Join me, friends. Join me. We're going to get cozy right here. This is right where we're going to get cozy. Oh my gosh, I have so many friends today. In the spirit of celebrating music and community, we're going to hear the story of Evelyn Glennie, a deaf musician whose life is ongoing, she is still with us, teaches us that our successes and our joys are a mixture of both our own passion and the help we receive from the people around us. All right, my friends, if you can see my picture book, can I get a thumbs up? Oh my gosh. Good. I'm sorry, adults. All right, listen. How Evelyn Glennie, a deaf girl, changed percussion. This is a story of music, of obstacles, of strength and hard work, of all you can accomplish when you dream, if you only listen. If your ears can't hear the strum or hum or thrum of a melody, can music still swirl and whirl? It did for Evelyn Glennie. Let's listen. Our story takes place in the late 1960s. Scottish music rolled through the farm hills of Aberdeenshire, Scotland, where Evelyn Glennie grew up. Her heart swelled when air blew from the bellows of her father's accordion on Christmas Eve. And on Sundays, she sat on the organ bench next to her mother. As the curtain closed behind them, it created their own tiny world of pipes and pedals. From the moment Evelyn heard her first note, music held her heart. Evelyn played piano songs by ear by the age of 8. Can I hear, if you will help me call in response, some piano sounds? Tink, tink, tink. Doink, doink, doink. Thank you. This is going to be an ongoing experiment to see if we can remember the sounds of instruments. Clarinet notes slid through her lips by the time she was 10. Woo, woo, da, woo. My friends, you can be a little louder than that. Woo, woo, da, woo. Thank you. But soon, Evelyn's ears began to hurt. This is a conundrum. Voices became whispers. Evelyn's parents took her to the doctor. The audiologist frowned. The nerves in Evelyn's ears are degenerating. She's never going to be able to play music. She's going to need hearing aids for the rest of her life. She's going to need to go to a school for the deaf. Evelyn didn't understand. Only 30 minutes earlier, she'd been able to play music. And why? And now she couldn't? Why? She wanted to wear hearing aids, to read lips, and she wanted to play music. Evelyn's parents shook their heads at the doctor. No, her father told him. Hearing or not, she will do what she wants. Pardon me. After completing primary school, which is like British elementary school, at the age of 11, Evelyn continued her education, going to what would be middle school for us at a Elon Academy. I assume it's prestigious. By this time, ringing phones sounded like muffled crunches in her ears. Still, the percussionist in the orchestra at her school caught her attention. The snare drumsticks danced. Dance with me. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat, 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 rat-a-tat-tat-tat. The marimba mallets bounced. Dum-dee-da-lum, dum, dum-dee-da-lum, dum, dum-dee-da-lum, dum. Yes. The timpani sticks thrummed. Bum, whum, bum, whum. Evelyn knew immediately, I want to be part of that. Every first-year student was tested for musical ability. The questions quietly cracked through a tape recorder in the classroom. Evelyn strained to hear. She scored poorly. They tested only for her ears' ability to listen, not her heart's, not her body's. For the next few months, Evelyn begged the school for percussion and lessons. Finally, a teacher named Ron Forbes tested her ability to read music and to play rhythms. Those are two very different kinds of tests, huh? The first one of being able to listen, was that fair to test her on that? Not in the slightest. For the next few months, she passed Mr. Forbes' test because she had spent years practicing piano. Mr. Forbes gave Evelyn a strange assignment on her very first lesson. He sent her home with a snare drum. No instructions, no sticks, no stand, just a drum. So Evelyn tapped it. Can I see y'all tapping your knees? Experimenting with that sound. She pinched it to see if it would make a sound. Can I hear? Is that a sound? Not very much. She scraped it with her fingernails. It was a little hard on pants. I bet it made a sound on the snare drum. She turned it upside down. She rubbed jewelry on it, and every action created a different vibration. Soon it was time for her second lesson. She showed up to class. Mr. Forbes asked, "How'd you get on?" She admitted, "I don't know." It was a strange lesson. He knew she lived on a farm, and he asked, "How does a tractor feel?" Imagine that. How does a tractor feel? Evelyn closed her eyes. She felt the light, tingly squeak of an old, creaky tractor. She rolled onto the tips of her toes. She played an old, creaky tractor on the snare drum. Tick-a-tack, 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 tick-a-tack. Can I hear my room? Tick-a-tack, 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 tick-a-tack. Beautiful. Then Evelyn felt the raucous roar of a brand new engine. She dug her heels into the floor and she played the loud roar of a brand new engine. Room, can I hear you? Vroom! Vroom! My friends, y'all are shy. You don't have to be shy. Ooh. Y'all see my secrets? Don't mind that. Mr. Forbes asked, thank you, Cece. Will you hold on to that? Mr. Forbes asked, Evelyn, do you think if you took your hearing aids out, what do you think you would hear? Evelyn looked at Mr. Forbes as if he had 3 heads, but she took them out. Mr. Forbes and Evelyn placed their hands on the wall of the classroom, and she watched his lips for directions. He simply said, listen. He struck the timpani. I have no idea if I'm saying that right. A big drum that creates big vibrations. It sang out, whum. Can I hear a big whum? Just one. Whum. Yeah. Then he asked her a question that changed her life forever. Evelyn, where can you feel that sound in your body? He struck the drum again, one more time. Whum! Beautiful. Evelyn's whole body resonated. Her belly, her back, her legs, and her feet. She had a thought. She kicked her shoes off. Vibrations moved through her better without her shoes. Her heart answered the call of that timpani. Wah-wum, 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 wah-bum, wah-bum. Heart beating faster. She found a sea of sound that belonged only to her. In that moment, every other sense intensified as her whole body became like one giant ear. She left that lesson feeling the world differently. She listened to the buzz of the world around her. Distant trucks zoomed by. Can I hear one? Vroom. Evelyn's legs listened, humming with the rattle of the road. Muffled voices muttered through an underground fog. Can I hear a wah, wah, wah? Wah, wah, wah. Like the Peanuts adults. Evelyn's ears listened, turning murmurs into sounds. Thrum, hum, hum went the world around her. Evelyn became so sensitive to each vibration that she could tune an instrument based only on where she felt the vibrations in her body. I bet we could, I bet that's a skill we can all practice. Evelyn graduated from her secondary school from high school and applied for the Royal Academy of Music. And she was turned down because the judges believed no deaf musicians could have a career in music. But Evelyn believed because she had learned to listen to music differently, not worse. She petitioned the Royal Academy of Music after she was rejected from her first audition. She advocated for herself and demanded they answer this question alone. Does my musical ability meet the standards of this school? This time the judges didn't just hear her play, they listened. Her music flowed through their ears and their bodies straight into their heart. They welcomed her into the academy, and after that, every music school in Britain changed its rules, everyone agreeing no one should be turned away simply because of a disability. Jump cut. Evelyn remembered the audiologist from her childhood who thought people could only listen with their ears. He was wrong, and she did prove him wrong. Losing my hearing, she would tell people, made me a better listener. Evelyn Glennie became the very first full-time percussionist in the world. She owns more than 2,000 instruments. Every single one of them sings in her hands. Throughout her life, many people told her, no, you can't. Evelyn knew she could. And you can too, if you only listen. All right, friends. Thank you for participating in this story. I take the children with me now, 5 years to 5th grade, to our RE classes. Teens, your next class is next Sunday. We are going to do some more musical and community bonding. Everyone, thank you.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys among us and to grieve our many sorrows and losses so that we might lift the burden for each other and receive the blessing of this community. A reminder that you can submit your joys and sorrows online each week via the link in our worship email and on our website. Our virtual community continues to share joys and sorrows in the chat. We combine our collective joys and sorrows every month and share them in a community-wide email. It is through this sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection. We have a joy to share this morning. Reverend Sarah and Michael joyfully celebrated Gavin's 14th birthday last weekend. And we hold in our hearts Debbie Foster, who was just diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. She's feeling better and adjusting at home. If you are holding someone in your heart this morning, I invite you to speak their name aloud into this community of love that we may hold them with you. May the arms of this community hold all our joys and sorrows, those named and those that remain silent and close to our hearts. May we feel the grace that surrounds us and be transformed by the spirit of life and love, with warmth to celebrate our joys and gentleness to soothe our aching hearts. Breathe with me. Fill your body with your breath. Breathe into this sacred space. Breathe with this beloved community filled with loving kindness. Breathe with wholeheartedness. Listen to what is calling you in the silence.
Our reading this morning is from Kevin Tarsa, Psalm 23 for this moment. May I remember in this tender moment that love is my guide, always shepherding me toward ways of openness and compassion. I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, and behind me. Include inside every cell of me, love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world that I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me, love invites me to rest for a gentle while and leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed. And so love quietly sets me once again on the tender and demanding path. Even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness, I know that all will be well, that all will be well, that I will be well, when love whispers near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation upon my shoulders. Yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on. And I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere I go.
Just a closer walk with thee. Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be. I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as I walk. Let me walk close to thee. In this world of toil and snares, if I falter, Lord, who cares? Who but thee my burden shares? None but thee, oh Lord, none but thee. Just a closer walk with thee. Granted, Jesus is my plea. Daily walking close to thee. Let it be, dear Lord, let it be.
Before I begin, I'd like to thank Patricia for all her work and encouragement as we came together to create this service, and also a thank you to Carrie. You chose by chance a song for the centering music that holds a special place in my heart. It, like Proust's Madeleine, ignites a memory. In 1974, Bill and I visited my grandmother in Jackson, Mississippi, for what would be the last time. I remember, like it was yesterday, her sitting at her organ in the parlor, playing for us with arthritic, gnarled hands, struggling sometimes to reach the notes, the song Carrie played today, How Great Thou Art. So thank you so very much, Carrie, for that selection. Bill and I, and our friends Henry and Patti, began playing Dixieland music together around 15 years ago. We lived 300 miles apart, but we played whenever we got together. We played for others only at our annual Mardi Gras party. We added yearly to our repertoire St. James Infirmary, Bill Bailey, Basin Street Blues, I Wish I Could Shimmy Like My Sister Kate. Lots of songs that would never quite make the cut for a church service. Then once, years ago, as we were in the middle of a last-minute practice before a Mardi Gras party, I remember telling Patti that Just a Closer Walk with Thee was one of my favorites. And I remember Patti asking me, puzzled, how that could be, since I was not a believer. I've been pondering that question off and on ever since. Why does this gospel song, this song played so often by Dixieland bands, hold so much meaning for me? It's a reasonable question, and it leads to other questions. As I began to ponder Patti's question, I spent a lot of time thinking about other religious music and paintings and sculpture that move me. Why do I love Mozart's Requiem, Handel's Messiah, and not just the Hallelujah Chorus? Why does so much Christian art move me? Why does Donatello's Mary Magdalene, or Michelangelo's Pietà, or Caravaggio's Calling of St. Matthew hold so much meaning for me? I think most of us could add to the list one way or another, on and on. It's actually an easier question. Why do the works from the 16th and 17th centuries, many commissioned by the church, inspire such awe in me? There was a time when I was maybe 30 or 40 that I would have said I didn't like any of those works. Give me Rembrandt, Van Gogh, Matisse, or Picasso. But now I find in those Annunciations, Flights to Egypt, Slaughters of the Innocents, Crucifixions, Depositions, so much inspiration. As a Unitarian, I look to many traditions as sources for my religious quest for meaning. And my Christian heritage is part of that. Handel and Bach and Tintoretto and Michelangelo are all part of that. And I could spend many hours searching for the why of that. But the more I think about Patti's question, the more I realize that the why of my love for Closer Walk is different. I need to go back and look at the song itself for answers. No one really knows the origin of the song. Perhaps it dates back to the 19th century Southern African American churches. Maybe it goes back to the Civil War and before, to enslaved peoples singing about walking by the Lord's side as they worked. The song we know now comes to us through composer Kenneth Morris. According to the story, he was on the platform waiting to enter a train when he heard a porter singing the song. He was so taken by the song that he got off the train at the next stop and came back to ask the porter to sing the song again. He published his version in 1940, and it became the gospel and jazz standard we hear today. Part of the answer to why this song moves me may lie in a love of spirituals coming out of the traditions of enslaved peoples and out of the Black church, songs that I listened to over the years from Mahalia Jackson, Odetta, Marian Anderson, songs that I started listening to in the late 60s, songs that spoke not so much to my mind as to my heart. These are songs of suffering and a need for hope and someone to walk with through hard times. Yes, that's part of it, but I think the roots of my love of this song go much further back. I look back to the things that called me to claim Unitarian Universalist as my religion. For me, that call was a call to many things, to reason, to trusting my own eyes and ears and mind, and maybe most of all, to a very central belief in social justice and in the inherent worth of every person. Where did this call come from? I'm sure the answer is different for each of us, as each of us brings a unique story of our journey to our tradition. As Unitarians, we profess our principles, and we turn to our sources, those voices of wisdom that shape our thought and ask us to journey deeper. We seek guidance in literature, in music and art, in the words of wise men and women of many traditions, and one of the sources of wisdom and inspiration for many of us is our Christian heritage. Not all of it, to be sure, but parts of it. I think that my search for the why of Closer Walk goes all the way back to a tiny country church in Missouri. In 1956, my mother and sisters and I are living with my farmer grandparents after my father's death. We go to this little church, maybe pews for 50 or 60. I can picture it better than I might have, because my sisters and I visited it a few years ago, unlocked, unused, but still with the pretty stained glass window, the wooden display for hymn numbers, and in the back, the tiny Sunday school room for 6 or 8 kids, accordioned off from the sanctuary. And on the back of that room, the wallpaper mural of Jesus with the circle of little children. The paper is old and faded and peeling a little from the wall. But it's still the same picture of Jesus with his long, wavy brown hair and the kind face welcoming the children. It was in this little Sunday school room that my journey to this moment and my love of Closer Walk began. Here I was taught about feeding the hungry, visiting the prisoner, welcoming the stranger, loving your enemy. It was here that I learned the story of the Good Samaritan. It was here, and in the bigger church in the town where I later grew up, that I learned to think of Jesus as a friend who would forgive me when I chose the wrong path, comfort me when I felt sad or lonely. In that first little church, I learned to sing, "Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong, they are weak, but he is strong." Later, I learned other songs. Some of those songs today make me cringe. Onward Christian soldiers marching as to war. Songs like this that speak to the worst of Christianity, of crusades and inquisitions, and those smaller intolerances and hatreds that maybe drove some of us here. But the songs that always spoke to me spoke of friendship and kindness and hope. I look back so many years and see myself standing by my sisters in that crowded sanctuary singing, "He walks with me and he talks with me." And in summers at church camp singing, "What a friend we have in Jesus, all our needs and wants to share." And now, "I am weak, but thou art strong. Jesus, keep me from all wrong. I'll be satisfied as long as he walks close to me." Maybe the call of these songs was just a call to a fatherless, friendless, lonely little girl. Or maybe it's a universal call to humans who sometimes feel small and imperfect and in need of a friend who is there to help and not to judge. This is not the Jesus who sits in judgment, assigning some few to heaven and the many to hell. Not the Jesus accusing sinners and meting out punishment. This is not the Jesus who will fault me for trusting in reason and not believing the whole story, not having faith. This is the Jesus who will walk close to me. I've come a long way from those childhood days, but as I look back on them, I find myself drawn to Reverend Sarah's November sermon on transience and permanence. In that sermon, she spoke of the Reverend Theodore Parker's 1841 sermon, The Transient and the Permanent in Christianity. So I found it online and I read it. If any of you have ever been driving home from church thinking, great sermon, but just a little too long. Let me tell you about this sermon. It's a great sermon, thought-provoking, profound. I can't imagine, though, that it was delivered in less than 2 hours. So let me just summarize in a few sentences. Reverend Parker argues, causing great controversy, that forms and doctrines, creeds, theologies are transient. They change from century to century, country to country, church to church. It's the words of Jesus that are permanent, and those words, as many who call themselves Christians forget, are words of love. Those words, Parker argues, will survive even if Christianity itself does not. He argues that it doesn't matter if Jesus was God or man, whether he was even a real historical person. Only the words Parker would have said came from God, are permanent. To quote, "It is hard to see why the great truths of Christianity rest on the personal authority of Jesus more than the axioms of geometry rest on the personal authority of Euclid or Archimedes. The authority of Jesus, as of all teachers, one would naturally think must rest on the truth of his words and not their truth on his authority." Anyway, that's the gist of the sermon. So for me, it all centers on a great teacher, one who wrote nothing down, who spoke in parables that taught ordinary men how to lead good lives, who preached simple sermons asking us to be kind and merciful and generous. Maybe that's why on our recent trip to Italy, I sought out the 16th century painter Caravaggio's 7 Acts of Mercy in a church in Naples. These are the acts of mercy so vividly portrayed in this painting. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. All that is transient in Christianity, and in our Unitarian faith for that matter, fades away. But this, the 7 acts of mercy, the Beatitudes, the parables, this is permanent. It is the unassailable center of my Unitarian faith. And as I look back on our other sources, I remember that some form of these truths, love thy neighbor as thyself, are central to so many religious traditions, to Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and so many more. The transient in all these religions may be lost in time, but the truth of the words is permanent. My 9-year-old Catholic grandson is studying his catechism in preparation for his first communion this spring. He runs around with one of those 4-sided folded origami fortune tellers. You might remember them as cootie catchers. I remember in grade school the same paper fortune teller answering questions about whether the boy you liked you. His contains the Beatitudes, and he asks me to choose a number and reads me a Beatitude. When I ask him what he is learning in Sunday school, he says he has learned that God wants him to be happy. And he is learning that being kind and helpful and standing up for what is right will help him to be happy. Right now, he seems to be hearing the words that are permanent, that will help him to become the kind of man who will feed the hungry and welcome the stranger. I've circled a long ways from Patty's question, or maybe not. Just a closer walk is a walk with the man, whether I believe in his divinity, his virgin birth, his resurrection or not, whose words of love of my fellow beings are the core of myself. Hope that sort of answered your question, Patty. May it be so.
Thank you. I invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of love, we pause to quiet ourselves so that in this silence we might hear what stirs within. May each breath draw us closer to that pulse of life, so fueled by the presence of love. May that love bring light into the darkness, healing to the brokenness, and joy into our hearts. It is in the name of love that we pray. Amen. Okay, you might notice that under some chairs, if you're a lucky person, there will be a rhythm instrument. This is your chance to gather those up and enter in. Unitarians can't get it down. Woo! Hee-haw. Woo. Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your heart for our closing blessing from that dear old poet Hafiz. The sky is where we live. It is no place to lose your wings. So love, love, love. Amen. Blessed are we all. Go in peace. You all didn't see what I just saw.
Wish I could shimmy like my sister Kate. She shimmies like a jelly on a plate. My mama wanted to know last night, what makes the boys think Katie's so nice? Now all the boys in the neighborhood, they know you shimmy and it's understood. I know I'm late, but I'll be up to date when I can shimmy like my sister Kate. I mean, shimmy like my sister Kate. Went to a dance with my sister Kate. Everybody there thought she danced so great. I realized a thing or two when I got wise to something new. Looked at Kate, she was in a trance. Then I knew it was in her dance. All the boys are going wild over Sister Katie's dancing style. All the boys in the neighborhood, they know you shimmy and it's understood. I know I'm late, but I'll be up to date when I can shimmy like my sister Kate. I mean, shimmy like my sister Kate. She could shimmy like my sister Kate. She shimmies like a jelly on a plate. My mama wanted to know last night, what makes the boys think Katie's so nice? Now I can shimmy like my sister Kate. Yeah, I can shimmy even though I'm late. Think I'll do a real shimmy dance. Dance like my sister Kate, sweet papa. Dance like my sister Kate, oh yeah. Dance like my sister Kate.
Goodies and
Oh, okay. We'll wrap this up later.